Hello, I'm Ali Patterson and welcome to the Fintech Show. Today, we're going to be taking a look at how changes in the payments industry are causing financial institutions to initiate and scale up industry-wide change, while still having to serve their customers uninterrupted. Payments from cross-border to in-store have become invisible. Looking at you, Uber. Whether it's e-commerce or sending money halfway around the world, the capabilities brought about by data-rich AI solutions and plug-and-play cloud technology have helped institutions when banks do not have the time to give their transactions a second thought. For this episode, our own Douglas McKenzie managed to steal away Roland, Brandli and Andreas of SmartStream Technologies from the bustling exhibition floor of Cybos 2022 in Amsterdam to talk about the numerous changes happening in the payments industry and the technology behind it. Across the pond, I was invited to New York City to speak with Isabel Schmidt, the co-head of global payments products at BNY Mellon, one of the world's biggest and oldest investment banks, and founded by Alexander Hamilton. Back in our chilly South London studio, Douglas caught up with Matt Cox, the digital platform and chief product officer, now director of digital and cards payments at Nationwide Building Society, to talk about the pace of change for big banks and why, for their members' sake, they can't do it alone. The payments industry plays an integral role in the fabric of modern society, and innovation cannot persist without collaboration. And with that, let's get on with the show. When it comes to payments modernization, what have been some of the biggest advancements and achievements in the past 24 months?
Yeah, thanks, Ali. So let's first of all start with a bigger picture and step back a little bit. Over the last 20 years, the world really has moved completely to digital. We experience this as consumers every day in almost anything that we do. And the same thing is also true for businesses. At the same time, the world has become truly global. I don't think anybody years would have thought that we could go online, buy something from a person sitting at the other end of the world. We may not even know that they're at the other end of the world, and we just didn't even think about it. That's completely new. So in that context, what is really exciting to see over the last 24 months are to see that changes in the payments environment in the industry start to align with that digitization of the overall economy. So we're really excited about, for example, the work that the Clearinghouse, EBA, and BNY Mellon have done together on IXD, instant cross-border payment capabilities. That is essential to be able to take advantage of or support the digital economy. In a maybe more incremental way, the work that Swift has done with Swift Go, also driving faster, more seamless payment experience, is important as well. All of these things are designed to help and support the digital economy that we all live in. So I would say the last thing maybe to add is, friction is the enemy of the digital world, all of these transformations that we witness at the moment are designed to eliminate friction from the system so that we can do things fast, seamlessly, and efficiently for clients.
Initiatives like Swift Go, do you think that sort of ecosystem is what's the driving force behind payments modernization, or is it something that's actually being driven more perhaps from the consumer angle then being translated across to the business angle?
Well, so Swift Go, I don't think is a driver, right? Swift Go is a response to what is actually happening in the payment world, right? So the expectations and the needs of clients have changed with that digitization. And so what Swift Go is doing is beginning to answer those needs for more seamless experience, for faster experiences. I think that need is very obvious and kind of understandable to everyone in the consumer space and SwiftGo, or in the small business space, and SwiftGo is an answer to that. But that's not, I think those needs are not limited necessarily in that environment. So this is one answer, IXV is another answer, and I think we will see more coming over the next few years as we continue to innovate.
I think, obviously the contactless payment world has absolutely exploded. Yeah, the last 2-3 years, transaction volumes have gone drastically up, partially because people myself are not taking money from an ATM anymore, or I was in the tube in London last week and I just tapped my phone. It's just so easy, so simple. But with that, obviously you get a lot more transactions. And so I think a lot of people are facing issues, first of all, being able to even scale to that volume of transactions, and then putting controls around that. Because originally this, the credit card, debit card was a part of the banking business, and if we look at it now, it's really, in the retail world, it's everything. It's just a massive increase. Well, I think there's a couple of things around that. You have different types of payments, obviously. If you're looking at the digital world, it's about being able to control those payments as they go through multiple systems. If we're looking about the payments world in general, and because we're here at Cybos, where it's all about the ISO 20022 payments, which are part of a digital payment at the end when you settle, when you actually pay. There it's also around these huge data formats. So it's not only a problem of volume, it's also the amount of data that you're getting. And as we all know, data is really the point of interest for any organization today. So getting up to speed and getting systems working to be able to cope with that, both in terms of volume and size of data, is challenging for our customers. SmartStream has a unique position in that to play because, first of all, we have software in more than 100 countries. So we sort of have a holistic view on what's going on in the world.
I can imagine.
Even though
This is why we come to you.
Exactly. So we do have a holistic view on that. And we do try to break things down to standards. So that is also a big advantage because we can, bring that in for people. And the other thing, apart from having that breadth of seeing what's going on, we go into the detail. So unlike most systems in financial institutions, which tend to do one thing, like a trading system or a payment system or a portfolio system, we tend to get data from all of these systems. And there's not a lot of systems within banks that get so many different diverse data feeds. And then our job, through the very nature of our software, is basically tying those loose ends all together. So, we see a lot of things where people now need to get prepared because this is like an infrastructure change. It's not the perfect example, but it's a little bit like what happens when you move to 5G. Right? One thing is actually being able to connect to 5G. The next thing is what can I do with it?
What's the value add behind it?
Exactly, right? So it's really exciting.
The amount of regulation in payments, particularly over the last 5 years, has been probably more than the, I guess, 20 years that's preceded it. So changes in technology and what's possible have also contributed to that, and changes in the demographic of consumers, the huge shift between face-to-face branch-based financial services and contact center-based financial services through to digital and online access. That trend was happening anyway, and then what the pandemic did was accelerate those trends, probably bringing forward the future by another 5 to 10 years in accelerating them in the process. And so the sort of confluence of all of those macro trends is really what's led to this situation today.
Now, Andreas, what are you working on in SmartStream's Innovation Lab currently?
So we work with selected clients because innovation should not be on their own. They should always have a target. So we really work with the banks and what problems they have and what they are trying to solve. And in our innovation lab we have mathematicians, data scientists, software engineers, and also business people working together and really trying to do cutting edge things on specific subjects. And I think key is that we work with clients so that we never lose the focus of what we are trying to achieve.
You always know what the end customer at the end of the day needs and wants.
Correct, and they are also verifying our results, right? So innovation needs to also have a business case, and it needs to have an ROI, so the customer really verifies us.
How can an organization such as BNY Mellon, which is, to put it mildly, not a small organization, how can you keep innovating while still having that expectation of operating 24/7, 365?
Yeah, first of all, I think providing uninterrupted, high-quality service to clients is non-negotiable. It's table stakes. It's a baseline expectation for anyone at BNY Mellon. It's part of our DNA. But I think you're right, Ali, in being super resilient. That's foundational, but it's not what keeps you relevant for 230 years. What is important, though, is the combination of scale and being obsessed with doing what's right for our clients. So for us in the payment space, being one of the leading banks in the world provides us truly with the breadth of insights across a whole range of dynamics, and at the same time with the resources to the change. So we collaborate with clients, we listen to clients, we engage across the industry, we influence the direction of travel, and we can and we do work with a range of partners who actually might be able to do certain things required for the overall solution better than faster than we might ourselves. So it's creating all of these connections that really enables us to drive the innovation. I think the last thing I would add is to this is the foundation for all of this is creating a compelling culture and a great working environment to attract the right talent. You can't do all this without the right people with the right mindset. And so that's absolutely essential, and we're blessed with that at BNY Mellon.
I mean, it's probably the most complex area for any financial organization such as Nationwide, and we have to plan, and we do plan for maintaining the systems that we've got and enabling resilience and scale of use, because let's be clear, unless we are available when our members need us, nothing else really matters, right? So that's always the number one priority. Yeah. Our members, rightly so, are not very accommodating when you have issues and outages, and that's the same across the industry. So that's kind of the right to play in this space, and we'll prioritize that first, as we always do. Looking beyond that, any change in payments in particular, works best at an industry level, right? You need agreements and standards on how this will work between different organizations. We've seen that with the increased protections when customers are shopping online. We've seen it for confirmation of payee, and so the industry faces some challenges around deciding what the opportunities are. Like, what's the priority to go after, where we collectively need to move in the same direction at the same time. And then when we've identified the right priorities, then you need to define a really good standard that we can all develop against in a controlled way. That's the biggest challenge in payments. It often feels like things move too slowly at an industry level in payments, and to an extent that's true. You also have to move carefully if you're going to get something that works across all of the industry. And everything we do, security has to be the number one priority and the number one challenge in this. So I understand frustrations at pace of change, but also it's more important to get it right and to do things that are most important to consumers and to Nationwide's members.
It starts how the organizations run their projects. So they typically run projects, then they finish their projects, it ends, and then they put the system live. And after a year or 2 years, everything changes, right? Data changes, the counterparties change, everything changes, but the system is still the old system. So how organizations experience that is that they see a decrease in efficiency, but actually what is happening is that they are not following the market, right? The system stays as it was put into place in the beginning.
And there you have it. Change goes hand in hand with payments transformation. And the only way to avoid falling behind is to stay ahead. I want to give a big thank you to Andreas, Roland, Isabel, and Matt for their incredible insights. I hope you've learned as much as we have today on the show, and you can catch the rest of the Fintech Show and more over at ffnews.com.